In our current day and age, you'd be excused for seeing Ireland as just another average European national team. After all, you'd have to be close to your 30s if you can say you witnessed their last presence in a World Cup. Because other than a decent run of 16 run in the 2016 Euros, Irish people simply haven't had many reasons to smile when it came to their national team. That's really a shame because during the 90s, Ireland was actually quite good. They made it all the way to the quarterfinals in their World Cup debut with a squad of footballers playing for the biggest clubs in the newly formed Premier League and continued their trend of success up until the early 2000s. But then, all of a sudden, Ireland came crashing down and they're still struggling to recover. But what happened? What could have caused such a sudden collapse? From handballs to fights to corrupt presidents, Irish football has seen it all, and today I'm here to tell you all about it. But before we start, please consider subscribing and turning on post notifications. I release videos like this 3 times a week and you definitely don't want to miss them. Now without further ado, let's get right to it. Well, to start off, and before we look into what caused their downfall, let's analyze what led to their golden age. During the 60s, many Irish people emigrated to England looking for a better life, and as a consequence, the children from those families got the opportunity to go through the more advanced English football youth system. Many of those kids would continue playing football at the senior level throughout the various tiers of English football, and their influence would be vital for the national team. But none of that would have ever materialized into success if it wasn't for Jacques Charlton. A member of the 1966 English World Cup winning squad, Charlton completely revolutionized Irish football. For starters, he took advantage of what would later be known as the Granny Rule, calling up several English-born players with Irish ancestry. John Aldridge, Tony Cascarino and Terry Phelan are just a few notable examples of important Ireland players that emerged due to that rule. And what makes this all even more impressive is the fact that Charlton didn't just look into the best Irish players from the top division. He went in deep, thoroughly scouting the various tiers of English football. And when he finally found all the pieces to turn Ireland into a competitive side, he broke the pre-established tactical philosophies. Ireland began using the British influenced 4-4-2 and adopted a more aggressive style of play, pressing their opponents at every opportunity with the intention of forcing them to commit mistakes. And guess what? 2 years after Jacques Charlton's appointment, Ireland made their debut in Euro 1988, and while they didn't progress to the knockouts, the country left a good image and a hope that their initial shortcoming was only the beginning of something much bigger. Time would only prove that prediction right. As the 90s rolled around, and with the formation of the Premier League, many top English clubs relied a lot on Irish talent. The experience from playing at the highest level against the best in the world translated into good results at international level, and Ireland would have decent runs in the World Cup from 1990 until 2002, always making it past the group stage in the 3 editions they were part of. But then, it all went downhill. Irish fans have different theories to why it all went to shit, but I'm here to give you the facts. And with all due respect, Ireland's successful tenure was simply on borrowed time. The Premier League could be credited as one of the main reasons behind their rise, but it's also one of the main culprits behind their subsequent failures. Like I told you in the beginning, Irish talents would in most cases own their craft through the English youth system, or at least transform their game by competing in the more established English league. During their rise, nobody in the FAI did anything to develop their own league, nor their infrastructures at the grassroots level. So when other markets became more accessible to English clubs, less and less chances were given to young Irish players. During the 90s and early 2000s, it was very common to see an Irishman in the starting 11 of a team fighting for the title. Then they dropped to the mid-table teams, while nowadays the bulk of Irish talent is usually on the Championship or in the lower divisions. But there was one incident that precedes what I just told you that has had arguably an even greater impact: the Saipan incident. In May 2002, the Ireland national team was preparing for the upcoming World Cup in that secluded island. In the Federation's eyes, that training camp was merely considered a period of relative rest and recreation at the end of a long club season. However, Roy Keane, who had already stepped up to his manager several times in the past, took it seriously and felt that the Federation could have planned things much more efficiently. To paint a better picture in your mind, the players were seated in business class during their flights, while the FAI got to enjoy first class. They were even eating cheese sandwiches before matches because there weren't any other meal options, and the conditions of the pitches used for practice were also concerning. That pent-up frustration led Kane to publicly voice his grievances to the Irish Times, similarly to what Cristiano did with Piers Morgan in 2022. Obviously, when the article was published, his manager Mick McCartney confronted him, which then provoked a massive angry tirade from Roy's part. I can't cite word for word what he called his manager so that YouTube doesn't take this video down. But let's just say, he didn't hold back in what comes to insulting not only the professional, but the man as well. That incident burned all bridges between the two men, and it created a massive controversy in the Irish society. If any Irish person alive during that period is watching this, let me know in the comments if you've ever witnessed your family getting into arguments because of this incident. It was such a divisive issue that it was even called a civil war in Ireland. Some sided with Roy Keane, some sided with the manager and the FAI, but either way, the damage had been done, the incompetence exposed, and future players with Irish ancestry from that point on will think twice before choosing to play with Ireland. The final blow though was given, no pun intended, by John Delaney, a football administrator who rose to prominence exactly as a public figure that tried to minimize the damages from the Saipan incident. On the other hand, his reign as the man in charge of the Irish national team was also marked by a definitive decline in sporting results. That would certainly hinder your reputation, but ultimately Delaney only has himself to blame. His decision of expanding the Irish Rugby Football Union Stadium at the Lansdowne Road to become the Aviva Stadium looked good on paper, but in reality, that investment didn't put more butts into seats during Ireland's football matches, as the wealthier fans didn't care for Irish football as much as he hoped for, and a massive economical crisis from the late 2000s hit the country like a Mike Tyson punch, leaving the true football fans unable to pay for the overpriced tickets. In hindsight, this was a massive mistake that put the federation into serious debt. On the flip side, we all make mistakes, right? We shouldn't be so harsh on Delaney, except that he made many mistakes. For starters, he made the mistake of using the federation's money as his own credit card, all the while earning a salary of 360,000 euros a year, one of the highest wages among football administrators in all of Europe. Couple that with his inability to keep Jack Grealish, Declan Rice and even Harry Kane from playing with England, it's completely understandable that many Irish fans can't even stand looking at his mug. Not all is bad though. The FAI has new people in charge and it looks like the federation has finally got their finances under control. Furthermore, there are currently well thought out plans to improve football at youth level, and with the current generation of talented youngsters coming up, it's hard not feeling hopeful that Ireland could finally return to their former glory. But tell me, do you think Ireland can become a frequent presence in international tournaments once again? Let me know in the comments so we can start the discussion. Drop a like as it really helps pushing the video to more people, and subscribe to Throne FC to never miss the most interesting football discussions, stories and top 10 lists. Thank you for watching until the end, I appreciate you and I will see you soon.